Hi everyone, my name is Davina San and I'm a student here at Palm Beach Atlantic University in West Palm Beach, Florida. With me is Dr. Lane Cohey, and we are so excited to share with you guys the new book that he wrote, which is The Disquieted Soul, and here's our Q&A. In chapter 7, we begin climbing up the V with the deliverance phase. So you start the deliverance phase with a chapter called Deep in Our Bones. Why?
So I think a lot of us, and perhaps a lot of readers, have been Christians for a long time. And so we understand, redemption and reconciliation with God and a relationship with God. But, a lot of us also understand that when it comes down to it, it only gets skin deep. And so we run into the problem where we really don't break a lot of the patterns and the thought habits that we have about ourselves and about God, for that matter. It doesn't really affect deep change, and hence I use the term deep in the bones. It doesn't get deep in our bones.
So you believe that the beginning of deliverance starts with a renewed sense of self. How does that work?
Right. So a lot of books recently have been written about our identity, and I don't try to repeat that. What I do focus on is a phrase that's used about 164 times in Paul's letters alone, which is in Christ. And it's used so frequently that we just kind of run through it, in Christ. But what that means is that we're organically united to Christ. It's not like just being in a room, or being part of a club.
Yeah.
We're actually vine and branches. And so it gets to a point, and it's kind of hard for us to get our brains around, that in Christ, our identity doesn't exist apart from Him.
Yeah.
And when we really begin to shape our thinking in that regard, it takes on a whole new sense of who we are, and that's what I want to explore.
Yeah. You seem to be going back to shame and pride quite a bit here. In fact, you have an entire appendix about dealing with it.
I do.
Can you elaborate what it means by self-condemnation of shame? Also, the self-comparison followed by self-congratulation of pride.
Yeah, and I think this is an important area, because shame always hears condemnation, its own voice being the loudest. And if we ever hear a voice in the crowd that has anything condemning, that's the voice that we hear. Pride always hears compare yourself and congratulate yourself. So it hears a voice of superiority, trying to puff ourselves up or make ourselves more. Either way, it comes down to a damaged sense of self. We're listening to the wrong voices, either the voice of shame or the voice of pride. And so what I get to is that we need to change the voice we hear. We need to stop listening to our voices or the voices of anyone else and begin listening to God's voice.